Hello, I'm Dan Deacon, and you're watching the AU Review.
Well, welcome back to Hong Kong.
Thanks for having me.
We were just saying you played a set last night. You got another one coming up today. How did your first set at Clock and Flap go?
I think it went well. I had a lot of fun. I was rather nervous because I played a very small stage yesterday. When I showed up, there were like beanbag chairs on the ground, and it seemed like mainly like I think jugglers and puppeteers were playing. So I was pretty confused. But when they were done, they cleared out the beanbag chairs, and people showed up to party, and it ended up being a really fun set.
It's getting crowds involved. Getting crowds involved is a big part of what you do, and you're a master at it.
Thank you.
When smaller crowds like that come into play, does that make it harder or easier, or do you just have to adapt?
It really depends on, regardless of the size of the crowd, it depends on like the temperament of the crowd. Like, to get an audience to realize that they're a part of the show, you need to make them feel comfortable. And no one likes to be, embarrassed or taken advantage of, and obviously I don't want to do that or make anyone feel that way. But when you put someone on the spot and ask them to become a part of the performance when they don't expect it, it can be very jarring. So I try to find a way to make it as easy as possible for them to join the performance and to be as seamless and natural as possible. Does that make any sense?
It does. It makes perfect sense. And I imagine that works most of the time, and then sometimes it maybe is a little awkward.
Well, it's not an experiment unless you can fail.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? So I feel like that's the thing that makes it exciting, is that night to night I never know how a random person is going to react or how a group of people are going to react, and it keeps it lively. Is that kind of the logic, not the logic, the rules you live by, I guess, when it comes to making music, that, it's no experimentation if you can't fail? Unfortunately, yes. Because, I guess, by, straight musical terms, my music is very much rooted in, pop music. But it's certainly not, radio pop music. But I think the thing that makes me, a quote-unquote experimental musician is that I'm trying to do things that often don't work. And I find what works through the process of experimentation. And it's fun to do that in front of an audience, where lots of times experimentation just happens within the studio or the writing process. But to have a performance that does have several points of failure, I think to me is what keeps me able to do it night after night.
And when you were working on America, you also like the idea of, let's put things on here that aren't perfect. Let's have some imperfections. Let's try and embrace that live aspect of it as well. Is that something that you're continuing on with the next record?
No, with the new record, I focused a lot on electronics. After doing 2 records that focused on acoustic sounds, I started thinking about how I've been neglecting synthetic sounds and quote-unquote precision from not human precision. I love human precision, but I also love the relenting beat of a drum machine. I haven't had that on several records. So I kind of went back and revisited my love of micro sampling and synthesis, and trying to focus more on a synthetic sound.
Did that create something new? By going back, did you feel like you ended up creating something you hadn't done before?
I do, because I was coming at it from someone who was informed by the previous process. So even though I was going back to a way I used to originally work, I was approaching it from a different path. Does that make any sense?
It does, yeah. And has the album finished? Are you still working on it?
The album is finished. I don't know when this is gonna become something that people see, but soon I'll tell you when I know anything about it.
You're announcing all the details.
We're announcing soon, but I don't know when.